Our next award is the Consumer Advocate of the Year Award. Fran Quigley is a very deserving recipient, and this award is very special. Consumer protection is at the heart of what ITLA has done and for the last 50 years. Dan Ladendorf has nominated Fran, and I'm pleased to ask Dan to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Fred. It was an honor to submit this nomination for Professor Fran Quigley for the Indiana Trial Lawyers Association's Consumer Advocate of the Year Award. I submitted this in recognition of Professor Quigley's tireless work in healthcare policy, including specifically his advocacy regarding the cost of and access to healthcare and prescription medications. In addition to his work at the Indiana University Robert H. McKinney School of Law's Health and Human Rights Clinic, Fran has written extensively on human rights and healthcare. He serves as the editor of the Faith in Healthcare, and perhaps most notably became a national star in May of this year when he appeared in the television segment of Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, where he talked about the U.S. pharmaceutical industry and described how public funds, these are our tax dollars, are spent to develop treatments but get funneled into the pockets of for-profit drug companies that then mostly choose not to produce the most life-saving treatments, but the most lucrative ones. Fran's Faith in Healthcare program notes that all major religions have a tradition that embrace a core responsibility to care for the sick. And I think most importantly is Fran's scholarly advocacy in this area of healthcare is informed not by some radical position, but through his faith. And whether we agree with the views that he expresses, I think his scholarship on this topic is such that we can open up the conversations that need to be had about how healthcare is financed here in the richest country in the world.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you, Dan. And thank you to the trial lawyers. This award means a lot because it comes from you. I've practiced law in this state for several decades now and had the privilege of working with a lot of students who are out there practicing law now as well. And what I know is that when people in this state are sick, when people in this state have been hurt, when people in this state have been treated poorly and are really struggling, they come to you. They come to your offices and they seek justice. So having you recognize the access to healthcare advocacy as important, it really means a lot. I appreciated Dan's introduction to the kind of work that we do. So he did a great job of doing that. I have the privilege of working at IU McKinney School of Law. I direct the Health and Human Rights Clinic. In our clinic, our students take on their first ever clients, their first ever cases. You can appreciate how important that is, especially if you've been a part of a clinic in your own law school experience. We work in collaboration with Indiana Legal Services. So our clients are low-income folks. They're low-income folks who are struggling to get access to food, access to housing, struggling to be safe, struggling to defend their rights from consumer issues, but oftentimes struggling to get access to healthcare. That's awfully common, right? And as Dan said, my advocacy through the law school and also through faith-related advocacy is about access to healthcare. And that gives me the privilege of talking with folks in our own communities and beyond, and you've talked to them too, the people who couldn't afford their medicines and so they had strokes, people who couldn't afford their health care and lived in pain and didn't get their problems addressed by providers. Folks who've lost loved ones, young people who died because they couldn't afford insulin or asthma medicines or other medicines like that. So it's a privilege to be able to talk about it here and to have you recognize that work. And frankly, especially at the end of 2020, this is an important time. As you know, millions of people across the country have lost their access to health care because they've lost their jobs or they've been downsized in their hours because their employment was the way they got health insurance. That's true with hundreds of thousands of people in our state. I'm sure it's true with many of your clients as well. But of course, this isn't new. We've had millions of people in our country and hundreds of thousands of people in our state who go without health care every day. They can't afford their medicines, they can't afford their care because they either don't have insurance at all or they have bad insurance. So hopefully this is a time where we can fix this. Hopefully this is a time where we can use the crisis of the pandemic and make something good happen out of it, and we can actually join the rest of the world which provides universal health care, which makes sure that health care is a human right. I know that's something that trial lawyers fight for every day for your clients, so I appreciate being recognized and having our work being recognized as part of in simpatico with what you do too. So thank you for this. Thank you for the recognition of the movement, of the cause for access to health care, and most important, thank you for what you do every day to bring justice to your clients and to our communities.
Fran, this reads, the Indiana Trial Lawyers Association Consumer Advocate of the Year Award, presented to Fran Quigley for service and dedication to the citizens of the state of Indiana and the nation, dated November 18, 2020. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you, Dan. Thank you to all the trial lawyers. Really appreciate this. And on behalf of all the other folks who are fighting for healthcare advocacy, thank you for what you do and thank you for recognizing this work.